On the 2nd of April, Queen Luminita made her primary title the Kingdom of Wallachia, given that it was a title that held more significance to the Roman people than to the Moldovich and Melgarsky noble classes. On the 6th of May 950, Král Boris, son of Lucifer, declared war upon Wallachia, with his 3,000 men in tow. Queen Luminita would defend against this Pannonian courageously, learning early that even those you try to foster good relationships with will betray you anyway, just as Slavonia had done. She commanded her chancellor to change from improving relations in Visegrad to fomenting unrest there. She hired 6,000 mercenaries in addition to her 2,000-strong levied army, and marched straight towards the Pannonian capital. The army of Boris moved to invade instead of defending its capital, which was reduced to ashes by November. She forced a battle in Sanad, decimating 5,000 Pannonian hussars and damming up a river with their corpses. On the 9th of May 951, Král Boris surrendered and the Magyars were repelled. In October, Queen Luminita married herself to Tiklis, an 18-year-old genius and Romuva pagan, whom she converted. She almost immediately fell pregnant within a month of their marriage. She gave birth to Princess Alexandra on the 18th of July 952, though it was a difficult labor, and Luminita contracted slow fever shortly thereafter. Then, in the ensuing months, her husband contracted pneumonia, and she caught the flu on top of her slow fever. It seemed though she was on the very brink of death. On the 29th of October, Slavonia granted land to the Teutonic Order. Queen consort Tiklis died of his pneumonia on the 22nd of January 953 at the age of 19. She made a full recovery in August of 953. Throughout the rest of her reign, beginning in the second half of the 950s, Queen Luminita began a campaign of development across Wallachia, which would improve and develop much of the Transylvania countryside. On the 3rd of October 955, the Viking Thane of Lombardias, on the heel of the Italian peninsula, declared war upon Wallachia with 12,000 marauders at his back. Asbjorn sailed around Greece and landed in Constanta, while Queen Luminita, unsure of his landing point, mustered the rather stunted navy of 13 ships total to sail the short distance of the Strait of Otranto, with 500 of her personal retinue. In 956, to the east, tribal nomads known as the Karluk broke free from the Seljuk Khorasan in southern Persia, immediately pledging themselves to the Western Protectorate. This was by far the most devastating loss the Seljuks had yet suffered. Wallachia repelled a small invasion from Bular in the northeast, and with the help of several smaller Greek duchies which joined her war, forced the Viking threat from Wallachia once again. On the 31st of May 959, Denmark of Anatolia declared war on Wallachia, another Viking scourge based out of Thrace. Queen Luminita also caught slow fever again. She recovered once more in time to deal with the minor invasion, however. On the 9th of November 960, the First Crusade was launched by Pope Leo V for the province of Philistine under the Khalilid Sultanate. In February of 961, Slovenia was overtaken completely by one of its former provinces, Hrvatska. Queen Luminita sent her chancellor to Zagreb and the court of Král Slavich of Hrvatska in an attempt to make an ally to the west one last time, where there had failed with Slavonia and Pannonia before. In 963, as the Vena League declined, the Blamont League formed as its Catholic equivalent far to the west. A collection of French Catholic dukes united in a kingdom to defend against Septimania and the various Germanic pagans, like the Slavianska Vera Liotomercia. In September, the old and exiled Slavonian king came with a force of mercenaries to brutally overcome Pannonia and re-establish Slavonia, with the northern city of Borsod as its capital. In October, Armenia Khan broke apart, leaving Despotes Photios the Vengeful with half of his former holdings in the east. On the 7th of December 965, Queen Luminita the Wise determined to never suffer another Viking invasion from Denmark and Anatolia, which called itself Thrace, ever again. She rallied 3,000 men and went to war against Ragnhildr of Denmark. On the 30th of May 966, while doing combat in Kalilopolis against the Viking Duchess Ragnhildr, Queen Luminita was killed by an axe to her side, dying at the age of 39. Queen Alexandra of Wallachia ascended to the throne at the age of 13. Still, Ragnhildr was captured after her deed, and the day was ultimately won. On the 1st of June, she was blinded and imprisoned for her crimes. That same day, far to the east, the Tang Empire collapsed into civil war, expelling their tributaries and causing the Western Protectorate to crumble into its component parts, leaving them open and vulnerable to reconquest by the Seljuks. The Atabeg Balban of the Ghaznavids, however, pledged to tribute to the nomadic Bueller horse lords without hesitation, knowing that utter destruction awaits him at the hands of his southern neighbors if he failed to secure protection from someone. On the 19th of May, however, the Seljuks stormed the Ghaznavid court, apprehending and beheading him publicly, carrying his speared head on a pole at the head of the Seljuk reclaimant army that was now laying waste to the descendants of their errant vassals. This could herald future expansion westward once they have consolidated their holdings in the Middle East, with conquering the rest of India also an option for Qagan Bayezid. On the 2nd of March, in the dark heart of West Africa, the ravenous warlord Dankaran the Blind forced his neighbors into a federation much in the mold of the Vena League, forming an elective title that was named the Audagust Federation, named for Mansa Dankaran's home village. This federation would occupy the entirety of Western Africa, from Jolof to Jannat. This caused the Islamic duchies in the region to turn inwards, eager to protect their holdings and combat this heathen West African threat. On the 17th of April 971, the West African religion would be reformed, with High Priestess Nana becoming the religious head of the reformed heathen faith. The Spirit Guardians would also be formed as their equivalent of a holy order. On the 26th of August, meanwhile, the First Crusade was successful, and the Kingdom of Philistine was established. In 972, the Viking holdings in Anatolia were usurped by a coalition of Wallachian nobles, thus expanding the realm. On the 7th of March 973, the followers of the Massalian heresy finally emerged triumphant over East Syriac Christianity by outnumbering them so severely, thus making the Massalian faith a true sect of Christianity and rendering East Syriac the heresy. They established the Massalian Patriarchate under Sister Basileia of Armeniakan. The blessings of their Lucifer were showered upon the Massalians. The Arsiya and Bektashi order were formed in order to take up the Mohammedan cause. In response to the new crusades and jihads, the West Africans declared their own holy wars, though their threats were barely concerning in comparison with the actions of the Abrahamic world. In May of 976, Queen Alexandra married a Frankisk, Catholic man called Bernward, while he was 20 and she was 23. In 977, Denmark invaded and conquered over half of Leon under Conager Eagle the Wicked. On the 20th of January 979, upon the death of Orege Ordonio the Just, Septimania was split into two separate kingdoms, those of Aragua and Aquitaine. Aragua went to his youngest, Henrique the Mutilator, while Aquitaine went to his eldest, Orege Ladron the Cruel. On the 24th of September 981, Prince Alexandru was born to Queen Alexandra, named for her murdered grandfather. The next night, unknown schemers at court laid a snake in Queen Alexandra's bed, when she luckily rolled out of her bed and away to fetch the guards. As such, she forced the resignation of her previous spymaster and invited a skilled spider of a man from the west, named Jocelyn de Fezensac. Alexandra's second son, Hiorgu, was born on the 24th of October 983. His was a difficult labor, and as such she began to feel ill soon thereafter. On the 10th of October, she had since recovered and decided to go out to a renowned inn and stay there for a while to honor its owners. The floorboards hid a massive manure pit, however, and she went up in flames, her entire unit of guardsmen and their horses killed by the blast. Thus, Queen Alexandra died on the 10th of October 984 at the age of 32, and her firstborn son, King Alexandru II, ascended to the throne at the age of 2.